All right. Not bad. All right. All right. What's up, y'all? Good morning. Oh shit, a choir? What's up, Bobby? Bobby, I was wearing your hat yesterday. I mean, granted, I was laying in my bed. I like that though. It's a crisp hat, baby. That's my ringtone. And like to wake up to. I think it's funny. Sounds like a Home Alone Christmas. Yeah, this actually low key does. Yeah, no, you did. You ain't lying. Love the art though. Always loved Monica's art, man. Just think about doing live art. So I'm fucking and man, my son loves him. I gave him the album that I bought, the Monica album. I was a little sad, but I was like, nah, man, he's really into it. So yeah, yeah, I was thinking of you, buddy. All right, I'm gonna go grab an ibuprofen really quickly while everybody hops on. We're on TikTok, we're on YouTube. Yeah, I'm feeling better. I think I slept wrong, man. I can't sit right now. My hip's killing me, but I'll be. Dead cat. Oh, dude, the gap down underneath us. I again wouldn't want us to see the reverse all the way up in 617, but I can't say I didn't expect for price to react to my levels. Um, but that gap down below us, at minimum, I get that. That's likely to come off of a retest. But anyway, all right. So it's if I can't find the 24-hour chart, is the 4 hour good? I will teach you how to find the 24-hour chart. You drop this down, you add custom interval. You go to hours and you go 6, 7. No, you put 24 in there. All right. Sorry, I've got kids. I think they're over it though. I think 6, 7 is dead.
Wait till it's 7, 8.
I don't know, man. They might move beyond numbers, dude. Okay. Oh, here's the mail. It never fails. All right. So the only reason that I'm going to read this, folks, is I think it's important to kind of understand the climate that we're climbing into. Uh, so let's talk about that. Good morning, everybody. No 6-7 for old people now. I know, I know. I'm sorry. But anyway, put 24 in there and you should be good to go.
Yeah, I'm 67 and I'm still alive and breathing.
Wait, you're 67, dude? Everybody give this man a round
Yes.
of applause, dude.
6-7.
6-7. Yeah. That's what's
Yeah.
up, dude. You're a legendary number right now. Dude, if you walked past just,
In elementary school, they'd all scream 6-7 for you.
yeah, I mean, yeah. If they found out how they
You
6-7.
get me a T-shirt, huh?
There you go. I'm 60. Oh, dude, yeah, actually, it's not bad. I would just get a Sharpie. That might look a little too crude. All right, anyway.
Hey, I'm lost because I'm 6'7".
That's good. All right. So top news here this morning, and again, this is just is that real? Oh, okay. Anyway, Amazon shares sink as big tech's AI spending plans worry investors. You can't do this. How could you do this? Look at it. 176. Nobody from Germany watches me, so it's fine. Intel, AMD notified customers in China of lengthy waits for CPUs. Oh no. Citigroup aims to complete work on consent orders this year. That sounds interesting. But the executives are working on are becoming more optimistic they will be able to finish compliance work on a major regulatory punishments known as consent orders later this year, according to a couple of sources. Hims and Hers weight loss pills jolt everyone except its stock. Biogen forecast annual profits above estimates. These are for the earnings. Before the bell, U.S. stock index futures edged slightly higher after a punishing rout in technology stocks earlier this week, while Amazon shares slipped as it joined the big tech peers in turning the AI spending dial even higher. In the week ahead, investors will watch whether the software-led tech sell-off continues, while attention also shifts to key U.S. data releases with the January jobs report on Wednesday and CPI on Friday, expected to offer fresh signals on the economy and the Federal Reserve's policy path. All right, just to give you guys a little trip around the world, the Europe's stock 600 inched higher as car maker Stellantis soft preliminary results and concerns about the outlook of software companies were outweighed by a jump in defense company Kongsberg. Little trip around the world is confusing me. The dollar was little changed but held a 2-week high, while the Japanese yen edged up but remained on track for its worst weekly performance against the dollar since October. What a world. All right. In commodities, oil prices held steady as investors awaited news from high-stake talks between the United States and Iran taking place in Oman. Probably saying that wrong. Fears of another supply-disrupting Middle East conflict, hopefully tampered. Gold prices, meanwhile, rose, recovering from its previous session sharp sell-off. All right. So that's the climate that we're stepping in here this morning. Obviously, there's a lot to go over here, so let us not delay. It is 8:22. First things first. So, why have a 401k if the dollar is destined for collapse? That's a great question to ask yourself. All right, so really quickly, we're going to go over the ETFs and obviously starting with the Qs. I made a little video on TikTok. If anybody doesn't mind, go drop a comment, like, I don't know, a meme, anything. But I did post a recap explaining or showing you guys the analysis that I gave before this breakdown. But last night, of course, with tech selling off, we did see a lot of those levels, including 591, get tapped and blown past that we ended up hitting 587.54. Now, last night, if you look inside of the live trading chat, or if you saw me, I literally was like, yeah, we're about to at least retest tonight, probably back up into the 603, 605s. And it does look as if that may be today's diagnosis, right? There is a pocket right up in here and that is liable to get retested. My hope is that because we're opening up right at resistance, and again, resistance does have support. What are you saying? What does that mean? So on the Qs, right? Not very strong, but it is. So we could be looking at points above us like 603.71. What's up? Oh, God. Hold it up above your head. All right, there you go. Now it felt a little bit more like a movie or something. What do you, just give me my mind. If I put Firmasad in the payment description, what do you think they'll do? No? Would you grab me a cup of ice? I'm sorry. I love you. I sent you $200. That's an expensive cup of ice. All right. Anyway, sorry. We're gonna be in Brazil today, guys. At least for the start. Hey, baby, I thought you... Hey, hold on 1 second. My daughter's about to go to school. We pumping or we dumping? We're gonna find out before. We're dumping. You say so? You think so? Yes, that's what I'll play. All right. So, anyway, I am watching 2 points this morning here on QQQ. That's 605.50, obviously, and the 603.71. Again, we're still at control, so if I'm a lucky guy, we might be able to get this, yes, empty space leg down. I will, again, we did recover that 594. Thanks, baby. So that is something that we're going to be looking to potentially be retested back down. But this is a big enough gap up, and it is securing a floor. So it could get, and by the way, if you are still in March 6 contracts and you're still looking for more down, as far as I'm concerned right now, I'm going to be managing that position. When we leg back down or when we pull back, that's obviously where I'm going to be looking to trim this trade off. So especially if we get in that gap fill. But we'll elaborate more on that as we get towards the bell and the price or the market opens. So anytime you gap up in a leg down, that's usually a great way to get back down. You're leaving holes. Now, if you gap up strong enough off of a certain level, then you can usher in a squeeze and you can push sellers out and you can keep going. And oh my God, that's so good. Market green today? Yeah, it is. It is green. All right, now let's take a look at SPY here this morning. And this one has equal opportunities as well. Now, we can kind of chalk this one up, and I'll go to the 24-hour, but it's 15 minutes, probably going to be pretty decent. You just have a overhead candle close simultaneously floor. And so if we are looking for any sort of upside, that is where it will more than likely happen. There's a gap up there, but that doesn't happen until this little structure is hit. So you have a target of 685.26 on that break if we could get it. And of course, that's 686. Any sort of downside this morning? Again, we're looking at the most recent price action, just like I showed you on the Qs. This is really all you got. So losing or being underneath 679.50 could be a catalyst, or it could be where we look for that downside move back to support at 576, and of course, potentially that gap fill. What's up, guys? Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, Ellie's calling for a dump. Today looks like a terrible day. Well, let's look at IWM now. Now, like everything else, right? We have, and this one, does have empty space directly back up. That's kind of already happening because you are outside of resistance. In fact, you're building kind of on it at the moment. So you can say that anything moving through this box to the downside below 258.85 is a candidate, again, to potentially move down. However, you could expect a kind of strong move up into that 260 if we are immediately push it right off the bat. If we see that volume influx, which I suspect being gapping up this hard, that's probably exactly what we're going to see. Again, having a higher time frame, this is pretty formidable, right? So wicking up, touching or retesting that, and getting driven back down. So the faster we rip and the weaker we get when we approach those resistances, the higher the probability is that we can continue this trade down. But yes, there is a gap down below us. We did gap up onto the floor of 257. So we're going to have to find the selling volume to push price back down if we can. All right. Ismail, you like how I have my chart set up? Thank you, man. Clean. I try to keep it clean, my brother. All right, now, a lot of things were talked about yesterday. Thanks for blowing my head up in the chat last night about Irene. Yes, I know, it was pretty cool to watch. We talked about the IPO retest, and yeah, that's what it wicked off of, basically, is that IPO high, and it did end up driving down. So that was actually pretty cool to watch. I grabbed the L contract, which it's, you know, probably going to be underwater, but all right. Do I ever trade momentum after earnings? Sure. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I love doing that. If you have not moved, if you've already made that move, I don't touch it. All right. Let's see here. So last night, and man, yo, what the fuck? Yo, this chat is wilding this morning, dude. Listen, no, I worked hard to kill my ego. Don't blow me up again. Nah, so last night I talked about, and man, dude, it's just cool to see this shit go down, you know, and yes, it is bouncing, but it did leave a gap behind. So, fuck yeah. That being said, 1850, right off of the dot. Right off of the dot. So at this point, yes, we could be expecting a retest back down. It's all pre-market. There is a gap. So I do think we can still go and retest that level. However, there is a 2065 retest happening directly up above us. So is SoFi good equity? That's not a question for moi. It is, however, creating a investment opportunity on the chart based on how I trade. A lot of stocks that I invest in look exactly like the charts that I trade, except they're weekly setups, right? Because a higher time frame, we should expect that to move, you know, a little slower, but you're getting bigger moves. And so I target, same thing, empty space, and I trade that empty space up with, especially things like ELF, because ELF just has shitty contracts. It's stupid. Yeah, box frame. Yes, I do. I also like things like QYLD, covered call ETF. They've covered puts. Many different variants of the same thing, but those are really good as well. Yeah, we're gonna take a look at Tesla here. All right, so yeah, let's go ahead and look at Tesla and Netflix, and then we'll take you guys' request. All right, so right now, little gap up. We left a gap behind. That's not good for bulls, right? However, in a bear market, listen, in a bear market, welcome, right? Look at this. 1, 2, sideways, buckle my fucking shoe. You go 3, 4 days, you can't reclaim any floor. That previous resistance over to your left, the same cage you fall in is the same cage you have to break out of in order to go north. But you, right, hitting a floor or a gap, you bounced off of it. And so did we just hit a 24-hour floor on QQQ and see that bounce, or SoFi and see that bounce? So naturally, because Tesla has hit its floor, or some semblance of a floor, it has bounced. But because it left a gap behind, I do expect for that gap to get filled. Now, how do we find out where that happens? We go to the lower time frame because we always do top-down analysis. And, ooh, how's that for a blueprint?
Beautiful.
Not fucking bad, right? How clean is that? So you did offer a punchback. You were perfect retested. Cost basis right on the money. Empty space filled. So the trigger to the upside, which right now we could say that you're looking all right, is a pop-up and a retest of 416, which is healthy in a bear market. To pop back up and retest. Hey man, I really appreciate this content. Your channel is by far the best I've seen. Thank you. I really appreciate that, man. I do try. I mean, it helps that the system isn't like, you know, copy and pasted from somewhere else. So, but yeah, I appreciate that a lot. All right. Netflix. I think this shit's so funny. Because everything is gapping up. Yesterday, this one went and retested that floor, or even into that floor, and then got pulled right back down. I did expect for sellers to kind of turn this over, and it's not like it's impossible to do so, because Netflix is one of the only tech stocks that still has empty space underneath it and hasn't slammed into some sort of support, i.e. Microsoft, which is one of the reasons why I said, man, we could bounce tomorrow for sure. And of course, we're seeing that right now. But with Netflix, the lower time frame setup is far too confusing, far too choppy for me to be worrying about anything. So my goal, right, because there is still opportunity here, is we're just going to set an alert at 80.20, previous floor, our floor right now, and I'll be looking to see if we go for that break, because yes, there would be a good opportunity back down, especially if we see continuation to the downside later on. Not a top priority before. I remember you from before, always very informative. I hold nothing back, man. I don't try to like hide little bits of my strategy so that way you like feel inclined to buy my shit. I just get it out. Get off my chest. All right, drop your request if you have anything you want me to take a look at this morning. Lots going on, so I'm going to try to move as quickly and clearly as I can through these charts. Let's look at them. I love my dog and all right. I see APLD. Also, it would really help me if you let me know which direction you're looking. Where's the opportunity at? So let me know, because otherwise I'm just going to give you both sides, right? Because I'm always looking for, you know, where's the trigger on both sides of these trades. So you're bullish on APLD. Okay, so let's see how this works. Okay, nice gap up. Let's start with the 24-hour because we don't start anywhere else. And we'll go ahead and get rid of that old channel. Okay, so from what I can tell, right, nice bounce. There's a nice little solid platform here. That's where you bounced off of, right? Any candles moving sideways, that represents volume. You reach down, you grab it, you bounce. You do leave a gap behind, no bueno, right? At least for coming back down. That's not something that you want to see. So how do we get up? I already see a candle close here at $32, and I see a floor here, which you are attempting to grab at $29.59. Zoom down again, 2 hour. That changes. 1 hour, that changes. So now we have a range. So now that some of you guys know what my strategy is and what I'm looking for, a Potter box is a box that has 3 points of contact, right? This could be represented as a Potter box right here, right? Now, that is just a bounce, retest, and dump, but does qualify as a range and is still a floor that has to be recovered. But it's dope because you can see that the candles are making extended efforts to pull price down away from that opportunity so that sellers can keep driving it down. So what do you think you have to do? You need a 30, and that's psychological as well, right? So $30 candle close, And then at that point, it would be that 31.45. But this is where the real money's at, right? Once you get through this, you would have this floor, 32.75 to recover. And this is what I'm always looking for, is empty space. Now, if you're unable to do either one of those things, one of the first things that we do every single morning is what is above and what is below. So there is always going to be an answer on a chart. And if you can find, if you're bullish and you can take a step back and say, well, what's bearish, or where is the trigger to go short? What's holding me up? Well, you're literally bouncing and held off of 28.45 with no support underneath you. So that is where you can't go. So you're kind of in a little range where you have the ability to choose. So yeah, no problem. All right. QBTS bullish. Nice green goblin mask. Yeah, that one. I want to get a speaker in that one with a motion detecting, and I want it to say "coward" every single time I walk past it, like the meme. 1 second. It's bringing out the sauce. All right. Yeah, we are here, so. Yeah, hold on 1 second. I'll take a look at it. All right, so that's QBTS. Do you get free prop accounts? I don't use prop firms, bro. I got bread. We don't need prop firms. I actually I made a screenshot montage of every single person I saw with a Apex code or alpha code or some shit like that, and dude, I had like 28 screenshots after like 30 minutes of scrolling. I was, damn. Shit. I mean, I can't appreciate the ones that are honest. They're like, yo, I'm just starting out. I'm not even passing my shit yet. I got a code right here because I'm trying to get more. Like, if you're honest about it, bro, I can't say shit about it. But if you're trading by your bed, sorry. If you're trading by your bed and you've got an $80 Amazon chair and a fucking $10, $20 mic, and you're telling me you're a full-time trader and you got an Apex code in your thing, shit's just not adding up. It's just not adding up. I've seen Eddie. Yeah, I know Eddie. Yeah, I've seen Eddie. He's a dork, but he is honest about it. All right. What do we got next? All right, drop your request. Is that a golden ticket amount where you think you can leave it? I mean, it's not even really like, okay, I'm supplementing my income. It's I have enough cushion underneath me to still invest, still risk, and live off of. So, I mean, yes, you need real-time data to trade futures. Absolutely. You absolutely do. Yes. Discord, no request? No request this morning? Everybody's so quiet. All right. Do I think Tesla will fill its gap? Down? I still see this one as a candidate very much for the downside. Yes. And in fact, Carla, I would say that even here, I mean, if you look at where we're at, you still have so much that you would have to off of. Okay, so some of the biggest bounces, right? And yes, this has been a floor where we have seen some substantial reversals, but this isn't where our strength is. And so getting a bounce like that just feels like it's pulling that volume off of that floor, but you would still have to escape 411, right? Which you're still underneath that old cost basis. And then at that point, you would still have all of this volume to work through. And so for me, being bullish on Tesla isn't even a question at the moment, right? It's just not. And plus, not even if, but when that gap gets filled at 388, I'm quite certain that 380 and that target I have of 368 to the downside, because of all of that empty space, you have no support. You have no support. So investor here sold everything a few weeks ago, looking for something about to go. Anything? I'm looking for that too, man. I use my strategy to look for stocks that have empty space. I'm going to be waiting on Elf. This is going to be one of my next opportunities. Again, not detoured at all. In fact, I'm kind of getting excited about the opportunity to buy this motherfucker again. I will be Bonita. I will be. And then, listen, listen, ladies, I'm doing a makeup giveaway. I'm just going to go to Elf. I'm going to tell Peyton, buy me some, load me up. 122.35. Ladies, show up to the chat. And dudes too, I guess. You know, sometimes a little foundation goes a long way. Not sure. Snow. All right. Ooh, baby, look at that target all the way down at 152. I didn't even look at that. So you did get a bounce off of that. And again, a lot of the times when you get a bounce, you need to build. But we can't. Okay, so this is a great opportunity for me to explain something. Does anybody see any boxes here, any structure, anything that I can go off of? The only thing I could really do maybe is sister in what did we fall into in order to die, right? But there's no structure here. And this is where I tell people we have to find our setup, right? Or our play. And we can do that on any time frame. So we dive down, right? 4 hour. Okay, I'm starting to pick up a little bit more, but not enough, right? Starting to really pick up structure, right? So now I get to narrate by utilizing the lower time frame how that's going to affect the higher time frame. So I'm not lost. It's not a mystery to me. Now let's go to the hourly. Okay, we're going to adjust this now. Pull it down here. Snow, look at you. You're using that floor as we speak at 159.66 to hold yourself up right now. You're looking for a break over the median at 164.50. And at that point, you just have, I don't look at the overhead, I look at what's up above you, and I'd be looking at a 170 psychological number retest. Now, there is a big play. I'm not saying now, because again, conditions are a little weak. But yes, there is a punchback over 171 for what I'm perceiving to be a pretty solid ass trade through this empty space to that imbalance, which an imbalance is just, it just makes me feel smart, you know, but it just means the 50% mark. Okay, so I say median sometimes, 50% of empty space. So structure to structure, we split it in half, and that is a trim target, if you will. All right. So that is snow. Now, the alternative here is, well, if we still have some bearishness here, or a little selling off to do, that underneath the floor that you reclaimed is where you fall. And where, more than likely, you would build, right? And that wouldn't be a bad thing. Because the more longer you build, the more consolidation you have at a 24-hour floor, the higher the probability is that you will bounce, even if that is just a retest. AMD to the upside. What's Corey? What does that mean? All right, AMD. So already we can see that structure, but I'm going to go to the 24-hour first. Okay. So you did. Okay. You tapped the wick. You tapped the wick, and you immediately retested the floor up above you. That's pretty impressive. Now we did talk about that responding. Right? It didn't hit that 185, but it did gap back up to retest the floor that it has broken in the first place. So what's protecting you or the upside from continuation, right? So again, peep floor, that's great, but we got a little guard here. And a lot of the times these are perfect because if I can see consolidation or of any sort on the floor, I can use that lower time frame to know that the floor, this is, all right, so put this together. Higher time frame floor, we need to recover that. Anytime you lose a floor, in order to get back up, you got to recover it. So now we on the lower time frame, I'm seeing my same strategy. We got a range in front of us. 50% of that is broken. So when we are above 204, and that is usable as a stop loss, you also simultaneously have taken a trade on a buy floor, which if price did retrace, would retest that very same floor, giving you the ability to utilize that as a great stop loss. So that is in the air. Obviously, this isn't triggered yet, so we got to look a little bit further down. Now, there's always an answer, right? There's always an answer on the chart. How did you get here? So what is above or what is below? This is going to help us create a plan in order to know where do things fall. And we go to the lower time frame for more detail. Okay, 2 boxes, one here. You're retesting the top, candle close. So you broke through or punched through this range, moved up to this cost basis. 50% of every single area of consolidation is going to be your cost basis. And so in order for us to make this happen, right, obviously this has to hold at 196. You don't really have much other than what you broke through here. And so these are areas that you can watch this morning for AMD to either retrace or to punch back and try to move back up into that empty space. Now, I'll tell you this. After a big bounce like this on a Friday afternoon with weekly contracts, and the fact of the matter is that we're in range, a lot of the times I like to take that first 30 minutes to make sure that I'm not getting whipped. Because 24-hour floors, 24-hour ceilings, that's butt spanking time. That's when they whip things around. So if this gap up is substantial enough to trigger a squeeze, mini squeeze back up, market wide, then do what you need to do, take your trade, set your stop losses. But if we see weakness overhead, we'll adjust. All right. Tyler Young, this guy's an excellent trader. Honest work right here. Thank you, Taylor. Tyler, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, XYZ down. Bro's trying to beat the block. Ooh. All right, so it looks like that floor just bounced. Now, this one definitely could be a candidate for one that has way more up ahead and could be looking right back down. And so whenever we bounce, I always look for what needs to be retested, and especially if I'm short, right? If I'm a short little guy, then I need to make sure that I have that overhead structure mapped out. So right now, with this weak ass bounce, I would be looking for 55.26 as a potential retest level. Now you can zoom this down, and again, always find greater detail so that way you can map out how that lower time frame and higher time frame correlate. So how would we get on that floor, or how would we make that 55 retest? Well, the answer's on the 15-minute here with that box that you're already trying to reclaim. Money. All right. This is when the playlist starts to sound like elevator music. Are we trapping in Japan? Let's trap in Japan just for like 20 minutes. Just a little trap. Oh yeah.
Just go to Japan.
Yeah, we were going to. I know, I got a homie in Japan. It's amazing. Sent me a snack box one time, dude. I was like, I fell in love with these weird Japanese seaweed snacks. They're like sour, pickled plum flavored. All right. Estee Lauder. Can I revisit L? Okay, so as for what? I mean, not for what, but what are we looking to accomplish here?
If you go to the hourly,
Uh,
I'm looking to trade it up to that halfway point.
have you traded this before? Just a question.
Not at all.
How do the contracts look? Let me look at this with you, actually. Because I don't know why, but I don't know. The way I feel looking at Estee Lauder is the same way I probably feel being around like I just had to censor myself. I'm proud of myself.
Can you tell me when you're not live?
Yeah, I'll tell you when I'm not live. Yeah.
Okay. What do you want me to look at for the price?
Well, let's look at what you're trying
It's
to accomplish,
monthlies.
right? Oh, it's monthlies. Okay. Wait. Yeah. Okay. So 14th. Now this is where I actually am going to look at the Greeks, right? Because I do want to know. Oof, damn, those are down bad too. Or were down bad. Open interest. Ugh, that delta on the 105s, bro, is gross. What about the gamma? Even worse. You'd have to make a $3 move. Okay, so I mean, it's they're okay. I mean, they're not cream of the crop. Now going up, what are you bouncing off of? That's first, right? That's the box down below here, very clearly. Now, where did you fall or what did you break to get here? You broke that. So my natural target would be $100.75. But this is a fucking mess. And that is weak. And I see Le Channel. So I would just peep 99. And if I would actually say that you would want to pull back first with the weakness that we're seeing, because everything else is kind of moving up. It'd kind of be nice to maybe pull back and retest before doing this. But I mean, you just have very little to go off of with this pre-market data. It's like for a couple candles sideways. So, I mean, you could orbit, but yeah, that overhead target would be if you have the proper volume. So I've never day traded L, and yeah, I've never day traded that one, so I'm not really sure.
So it had earnings and they were both green, but they had a one-time fee that basically is the reason that it sunk so hard. But it had been on a
Okay.
pretty strong rip after that. But I'm monitoring it. On that 30-minute, I boxed that that second spot up there that you had marked out because you got 2 points of contact up and down on the 30. So I'm just
Yeah.
kind of waiting to see. But yeah,
Okay.
pull back and then send up would be great.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be much preferred. So okay, is this the real Potter? It's me for real, real for real.
The real Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Dobby's master.
Dobby's gonna. Never mind. There's a sound on TikTok, dude, that's so bad. Just go look up Dobby's Gonna on TikTok and listen to the sound. It's gonna ruin your life. Weekly time frame. IBIT. Dip. Wow. Right into the fucking centrifuge. So you tapped the old floor. So I do need to give it the entire range. And when I do, that is the 50% mark. All right. Well, with nothing but empty space up above you, it's all lower time frame. And you'll find yourself right here. So literally, okay, so when the 24-hour, 4-hour, 2-hour are all empty space, you don't have a choice. You don't have a choice. You have to navigate using these lower time frames. But thankfully, our strategy is present everywhere. The Potter box is everywhere. Cost basis, as per usual. Now, what did you break or what did you have to do to get here? Well, you had a punchback set up overnight, and that happened, right? So, in order to fall, it would be underneath 37.22 that you would see that. And again, when we're trying to come off of a bounce, those quick retest back down are like pulling a fucking bow back and releasing, right? Is you're coming back, grabbing the volume you need, and then shooting back forward. So Oh, you can't see the prices on my TikTok? If you guys are on TikTok, if you will lay your thumb on your screen and let it seize, that would be amazing. Tap your screen. Can I look at Microsoft? Yeah. So Microsoft, of all the candidates to bounce, was probably the most straightforward. Why? Because you filled up a metric ass ton of empty space hit structure yesterday. We talked about this one. It's obviously the first candidate for a bounce. In the most recent price action, there's nothing but empty space. So what do you think we're going to have to do? 4 hour. Okay, not enough, right? 2 hour. Oh, now we're getting a little bit more. So we'll go ahead and delete. Yeah. Ooh. Minnetonka. Yeah. Tabby. RIP. So you got a, that's a range, 30-minute. Let's go here. Okay, same difference. I fucking thought so. You can't trick me. Look at it. Look with your eyes. So this is not a box, but it is a range. And you did, that is what it looks like when you grab hold of a floor. Right there. You pop up, and because you don't have the volume to keep moving forward, you come back to the floor that you had to reclaim. That's where the volume is at, and you push and punch through there. Now, there's mostly empty space directly in front of you to 405. 405 would also be the 50% mark of the next small range up in front of you. So you're basically playing on a jungle gym trying to get this thing back up, which is, again, fine. But I would be looking, and the tough thing is trying to grab an entry unless you already have. This is where swing trading is I mean, 1, 2, 3 off the bottom. Honestly, if you swung Microsoft, anybody in here do that? I know a lot of you asked me about this one yesterday. If you swung Microsoft, go. Great job. But now trying to grab an entry, you are above where you would want to set your stop loss. So, you know, maybe if you pop up and then retest, that might be your best bet here. But let's watch that one as we get into the bell. Good morning, Morgan Freeman. I'm God. No, let's see here. CVS earnings. CVS earnings. Is that was some next week? That looks short to me. At least right now. This looks like a short. Now explain why I believe this could be a short, and this is subject to change because we're not at earnings yet. So let me tell you guys a story. Everybody tuck in and grab your blankie. I'm gonna tell you a quick story. All right, so CVS from October of 2025 was trying to break into the highs. It clearly did not have enough volume to do that with all of this volume overhead, and so it spends the rest of its time retesting the areas that it broke out from and building. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attempts to get up into the highs. Finally, you are granted access to those highs, you hit the balance on the wick, and then you die. Immediately falling and entrenching yourself back in the area that you worked since October to get back above. Now, why did I short the Qs? For the same exact same fucking reason, right? You spent all this time trying to get up above the highs, and then you suck. So, what do you get for sucking? You get to you fall. So, with that being said, when I look at CVS, come here, where you at? Not only have you dumped, made a new low, but upon the retest, you have filled up and touched what? The first green candle. Oh my God, look at it. You hear him, guys? Oh. That's what dreams are made of right there, baby. So you got the first green candle to your left. So that's a retest. Now, how do we find out whether this retest is weak? Anybody know? I do.
Lower time frame.
There you go. Look at that.
Explain.
Right? How quick? How fast? So we move up here. Okay. You got some build underneath you, but we now can. Watch this. I can see it. See that floor right there? Remember I told you a lot of the times these floors are going to have a guard, little bodyguard. There you are. Where did you pull back into? That space. Now, can I tighten that up and make it a little bit cleaner? Of course. The lower time frame will help me do that. And where did that fucking thing bounce off of? Get the fuck out of here.
Call spaces. Oh my god.
That's stupid. That's stupid, baby. So, in order for us to get to the downside, we would need to have a $74 loss. Now, there is more empty space directly up in front of us, and I'm not going to sit here and act like that's not real. So, if I'm wrong, because again, earnings are right around the corner, one of the things that I would be looking for to occur before earnings is I want you to grab that floor. If you can grab that floor, then you could look at an 82.61 target back up to the upside. So I can't say that it's weak, but I will say this. CVS, 1, 2, 3, we don't know the full result because we haven't fallen all the way back. But if we fill that gap and find ourselves losing 74.70, that's a candidate to start moving down. All right. It is 9:05, everybody, 9:05. You look tired, my guy. This is just how I look. When the Lord had me on the modeling table, he was pushing my eyes in, and he slipped forward a little bit and just kind of indented my shit in. It's just how I look. In my middle school picture, I think Ivy has it, I look high as a kite. I really do. But I was in a military family and definitely wasn't. So, just a sleepy looking guy, man. Use e.l.f. concealer. Mamma mia. There it is. When e.l.f. hits 122.50, I'll throw some concealer on. It was funny on my wedding. The makeup lady just came over and she just started putting shit on my eyes. I was like, all right. Fuck you. Okay, so Spotify, honestly, this one could definitely be a candidate to still drop into the 376s. So I'm going to be honest with you on this one. You got to be pure lower time frame navigation. Now, that shouldn't be too hard, but I don't know if you're going to get all of that empty space. So take a peep right here. Oh my God, again, cost basis. Now you got a lot of weakness underneath you and a box right here. So guess what? Upside, downside. In between the two, torture. But you do have a lower time frame breakdown underneath 417. So if you do cross 416.80 and 417, you could look for a retest and break down back to cost basis at 408. And what that would supply you with, right, is a higher time frame box. This is good. I did. Yeah, I'll take a look at it again then. Hey man, we've talked before. Know anyone looking to invest in manufacturing spaces? Disaster relief? Not off the top of my head, but you could shoot me a DM. I could put my feelers out. Okay, so the last time I talked about Sundial, I talked about how these big moves to the upside will usually usher in sideways moves. This is just natural price action. It's only human natural. However, tonight or today, there's actually a fucking golden. Oh my God! Actually, that made my knees weak. That's actually a pretty damn good trading opportunity right here, folks. And it's Friday, so I mean, depending on the contract cost, but the reality is here that you've already tapped this 3 times. Yes, you do have a gap down there, but the target to the upside for a smooth little day trade here with runners potentially going up to 675 would be over that 620.50. However, we can tighten that up. Not only can we tighten this up, we can also just say, get rid of all of this. Why? I mean, dude, if I was making this shit up, that wouldn't happen. Okay, so, first off, in order to go green here this morning, 613, 14 must be reclaimed. You're already trying to, your fingernails are fucking losing their grip here. So you need to get back up above 614 and punch through 623.40, and that can give you that trade up to the upside. However, obviously these wicks at 600 do separate you from empty space, and that reversal, if unable to recover, would occur. So you're waiting on your trigger. Glad I came across this account. Hell yeah. I'm glad you did too. Thank you guys for tapping your screen if you're on TikTok. All right.
You said you starting the classes March 1st, right?
Yeah, March 1st.
All right, I'm about to start selling tickets for $150.
Oh my fucking God, get this guy out of here. I'll find a bot to measure bandwidth. Be like, this guy's fucking, he's got mad viewers.
We're having a watch party.
Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you though. I mean, you know what? I can't. I ain't hating on the hustle, but as straight up for anybody, if you do get the workshop and you've got family members or you got a homie that lives near you, like, you know, if you're sharing it online, that's kind of fucked. But maybe don't do that. But if you are, I mean, your family, your kids, like your adult kids, fuck yeah, dude. Let them watch. Teach them yourself. The best way to really learn is oftentimes to teach. Even you teach what you know, right? Teach what you know. And when you're learning something new, you can share your perspective on it. But if you know what an option is, explain it. You know what I mean? Even if I am in the video. But yeah, hell yeah. I have a question. You don't hold back the knowledge, and time to time you actually try to make us understand, but no matter what, I somehow get confused. So if I join the class on March 1st, will that be kind of the basics? I really love the clarity, and by far you are the best. Y'all gotta quit blowing my head up. I'm gonna get an ego.
Float off on us. His head's already big enough.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. I just, every time I get off live, I just do negative self-talk for an hour to help bring it back down. No, but seriously, yeah. So if you join the class, the goal for this class is I'm going through it as slow as I can. And those of you guys who are in the last class, I mean, I felt as if I was as thorough as I could be going through each subject. And obviously this time I'm going to try to do it even better. But the more people that are there, the more questions that get asked, the better this class is going to be, the more valuable this class is going to be. So with that all being said, yes, I mean, we're going to be walking through from start to finish. It's going to, and I know for some people, they're like, dude, 2 weeks, dude, bro, but like an hour and a half a day for 2 weeks, because I want to make, it'll be recorded. So if you miss class, you know, it's okay, but I'm going to take my time and I'm going to get through this shit. Because last time I did this class, within weeks, within months, I started to see results from people, like good results. It actually was it was after the class we did KSS, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was after the class we had KSSS, and that was ridiculous, dude. That was like, whoa.
I graduated college, got my paycheck.
Got your diploma. That's good shit. All right. It's on my website. What time? It'll be around 5:30. I want to make sure that people can get home from work. You know, if anything, you know, listen in while you're driving home. But yeah. All right. Let's see what else do we have. Please look at Irene. Oh, I am literally looking at it right now. Yeah. So last night I called for the IPO retest, the IPO high retests. If anybody was on here last night, that is what we wicked off of. It was pretty cool to see, but it shows you the power of gap up and where price opens, because you see how you open up on the floor, and that is showing you the volume that it had. Oh yeah. So let's go to the lower time frame. What's in front of you, right? What is above and what is below? These are always going to be the questions that we're going to be asking ourselves every morning when we're looking at our watch list or trades that we're taking or that we're in. Okay, so on the hourly, we have a range. We're not going to call it a box yet. I'm pretty sure it is. But right now, you are struggling, clearly, to try to grab that. So let's go to the 30. Wow, very much clearer. Do you guys see, again, our mind is still on the higher time frame, but we're also looking on the lower time frame because if this breaks and we go through a punchback at 41.67, what's the next target? The floor up above at 44. We go to the 4 hour. Where's $44? Floor, right? And first green candles to our left, right up in here. So we can correlate the two. Cost basis, 45.45. That's that retest level. So if this, then that. Now, if you get this and you're over 46.87, full ass retest. Hey man, I'm at work listening in. What's March 1st? March 1st is the Potterbox Workshop Live. That's what we're doing. This is a complete walk down through the strat. I'm just not in the mood for Drake right now. You know what I mean? Is anybody in the ever? Is it? Wait, I think it might be questionable at this point.
I don't know. After that Kendrick beef,
I was just thinking about that yesterday because I watched this thing and I was like, my God, bro. I haven't heard shit from Drake.
he's been letting the heat cool off.
Yeah, it's gonna take a couple years. That's not appropriate for listening. What are we listening to this morning? We listen to Fallout Radio. Yeah. All right. If you don't pick, I do. All right, let's see here. Apple down. Whoa. Wow. Somebody's getting ready to pop. Right? We're not stupid. Pop. Right? Pop. This is riding the waves, man. So this is a good time to be looking at Apple, but I'm on the hourly, so this doesn't tell me shit. Let's go to the 24. So what are we up against, right? Probably the same thing we were up against last time to try to get Apple into the highs. There's empty space up there, so one would absolutely be assuming that that is where your target would be, is 286 on the upside. However, we don't go into any trade one-sided. We know what is underneath us. That is your hold. Don't believe me? Look at the wicks. That's what you're holding yourself up on. Let's look at the 4. Oh my God, that's juicy. Right? We're going to expand that up because on the lower time frame it says to. And now that's your cost basis. So you are doing your damnedest to try to hold yourself up, right? And of course, as per usual, come on, guys. That's awesome. It just makes life so easy. So, again, my strategy says that if a 50% mark of a box is broken, we're guaranteed a new high. We have empty space up above us, which is nigh. And that, I'm sorry, but that is 284.71. That would be your target to the upside. Obviously, any loss of 270, you have the same weaknesses underneath you. Now, let's go to the lower time frame one more time. What do we need to see? 278.68. And this does look like one of those candidates for a false breakout. So when you do take this, stop losses and expiration are probably going to matter because you have, and how we pick our expirations is we typically buy resistance. So because Apple has a box in front of it and it is Friday, yeah, probably next Friday's, if it was, Monday, maybe even roll that out. So I think 2 weeks to a week, could get you up there. When we take trades with shorter expirations, it's when we have access to empty space directly in front of us. So how do you catch a false breakout on the 24-hour box? So most of the time I avoid false breakouts, and I do that by looking at the higher time frame and what's above. Right? Because most people who use orb, most people who just take that opening breakout or that range breakout, they don't know what's in front of them. They don't know why Apple is stopping. So if I have a 279 or a 280 overhead, right here, and I see price just shit right up there with no retest, no nothing, I don't like that. because you're running up to where sellers are the strongest, the weakest. So that is a lot of the times how I avoid those breakouts or those false breakouts is by being aware of what's on the higher time frame, because the 24-hour and the weekly are really the guides. A lot of my targets are actually just the bottoms and the tops of 24-hour candles, and I don't have to do a ton of lower time frame stuff. So I could expect for today. I mean, today could, especially with the gap up, they might not let people have anything. So we've had a really volatile week. We saw the QQQ rip down for 3 days straight, SPY 3 days straight. Maybe IWM gives us a break, but tread lightly this morning. So, all right. I think this is the first time I've wholeheartedly agreed with an analysis on a live. Damn. Sick. Well, hopefully it helps. What if it's empty space and I get like a 30-minute? I mean, but I don't look at it that way, and I use the top of the box or sometimes even structure. So let me show you this, right? So let's go dive down just a little bit further, and I'm going to show you guys a trick that you can use to get into trades sometimes early. You have to know that. But if I can find inside of a box the tops of candles, right? Resistance. I could use that as my entry, right? Because we're heading in the right direction. I could use that as my entry because here's the deal. If price moves out, moves up, and it pulls back, even though it's a false breakout, it will bounce, right? And it'll come give these guys the opportunity to push that price back down. So it gives you that moment to say, okay, we're bouncing, retest up above is failing. All right, time to pull the trigger. He said, Gavin calls hit today, go hand me your money. That's funny. All right, CRDO. It's not very bullish. So again, just focusing on the first green candle to my left, the floor that you lost is the floor that you are retesting. So you could be experiencing a rejection. Where did you stop? Typical 50%. Okay, so I can't really tell you much else than you are up against the floor. You did bounce off of cost basis or off that 50% mark. And so now I'm going to go to the lower time frame and I'm going to see what's in front of you. Nothing here, an empty space. The first green candle to my left is 108. Sounded like I was doing a Dr. Seuss ass rhyme. Okay, so here's the deal. This is your range. This is your volume, right, that you're pushing off of. So clearly we don't want to lose 100. Above 105, I would be looking up towards, yes, 108.13, and it would be over CRDO could, because what's happening now is definitely a candidate for a retest. So if you are just retesting, this will drop back down and you'll punch through this box and then you'll keep dying. But because of the pocket of empty space to the upside, I'd be looking for CRDO to pop out, or basically, yeah, pop up above that 105 and move through 108. And at that point, it's 111, and you've got a good target of 120 for a 120 retest. But I will say the 24-hour, this is at the moment, I like to. So one of the toughest one of the best, let me show you, actually. Let me just show you a real example because it happened on Irene. If price falls further, right, and you gap up, this is one of our rules. If you gap up on a floor, that's up, right? If you gapped up outside of 37.33, you probably would have been already up at 44. So gapping outside, right, of where sellers control the price is beneficial. But gapping up to where sellers control the price or what they are defending means that the natural or the first push will oftentimes be down. So just throwing that out there. Extra bear through my website is where you sign up for the class. How do I stay calm when I immediately go into problem solving mode, man? That's immediately what I do. So, you know, again, for IWM last night, it went and touched that target. Now it's gapped up on this floor. So for anybody who's watching IWM right here, this is going to be where we want to see failure. Ah, that's my girl right there. Thank you. Fuck, you know what? My wife, she brought me the Zens. She's a Zentologist, dude. Oh yeah. All right. So, with that being said, honestly, at this point, right? Yes, there is a pocket of empty space up here. Yes, that overhead resistance you're seeing is the 50% mark. So for us today, right? We want to lose 257. We want to lose 258. Those two numbers. So 258, 257, and that's where we can see that gap fill. 30-minute time frame, 5-minute time frame. That's mostly empty. So if IWM, get rid of all of this, right? Sometimes it gets a little too messy down here. Again, what is above? How did you get here? So we're staying above 159.13, right? That is where we don't want to lose. So whether that's a retest, bounce, and then break back up, but you do have a 261 target. Now, oftentimes, if I do catch myself in a position like I am in this morning, which I'm up still, but where I have to look at the upside, then I will look at a weekly or shorter expiration contract to trade that retest up. But again, game plan, right? What needs to happen, or where can I get out of this trade, call it, and just take off. So like, obviously, if we're above orb, which is 259.83, there's really not much for you to go off of. So, all right. But I do, you know, again, with the Qs and SPY, right? How do we do this, guys? Usually, how do we trade? Usually in Greeks, and on the Qs, especially in threes. I actually have gone over this a lot in the waves up. It's 3 to 4 days of expansion and then 5 to 7 days of contraction. That is this typical cyclical pickle that we're in. So, yeah, I mean, if anything today, we could expect, if we're not continuing that squeeze up or pushing sellers out of their positions, then we could potentially expect some range after 3 consecutive days of hot dumpage.
ABT, my alert just hit.
ABT. Traffic Friday. All right, it is 9:27. Hold on, Discord. All right, TikTok, YouTube. I've got a lot to manage here this morning. If you want to check out the Discord, you can. I'll be live at 2:30 with you guys. 2:30 Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be back on live looking for potential swing trades over the weekend. If you want to check out the Discord, you can. It's $80 for the month. It's just for you to check it out. If you end up joining lifetime, or not lifetime, but yearly, or the workshop, I'll give you that money back. And you can prepare for class on March 1st. If you don't want to, I'll see you at 2:30. You can go to my YouTube channel in the meantime, and you can go to my educational playlist and start learning there. Write your questions down. I'll see you then. All right, guys. We'll see you later, all right? Thanks for watching. Time to go manage the bread. By the way, the Q's retest is starting to pull back. All right.